Hello to all, welcome to Soumya Tutorials. So class BCA third semester, NEP syllabus, Database Management System. So this is the section number 2, chapter 1, Database Architecture. So last class we had discussed about the concept of what is a database management system. So definition of data and information, definition of a databases, application of a databases, advantages and disadvantages of databases, features of a databases. So ಇಷ್ಟು ಕೂಡ complete ಆಗಿತ್ತು. Then we will discussing about the concept of the people associated with database system. So that is we can call it as DBMS users. So DBMS users, ಯಾರ್ಯಾರು DBMS users? The DBMS users, which are broadly classified into the 4 categories. The first category is application programmers and system analysts and users, database administrator, database designers. So there are the 4 different types of the category presently on the DBMS users. So first of all, what is application programmers and the system analyst? The application programmers ಮತ್ತೆ system analyst ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಯಾರು? System analyst determines the requirement of the end users. So who are the system analyst? The system analyst determines the requirement of end users and develop the specifications for transactions that meet these requirements. That persons we can call it as system analyst. Then what is an application programmers? Application programmers implement these parameters in the programs. So that persons we can call it as application programmers. Once again, I'll repeat. System analyst determines the requirement of end users and develop the specifications for transactions that meet these requirements. So this person we can call it as system analyst. Then application programmers implement these parameters in the program. So that person is called application programmers. Then what is end user? People who require to access the database for querying, updating and generating reports. So that people we can call it as end users. End users are the people who require access to the database for query, updating and generating the reports. The third person is database administrator. Simply we can call it as DBA. So database administrator is responsible for authorization access to the database, coordinating and monitoring its use, and for acquiring the needed software and hardware resources. So this is a role of the DBA. So 1 marks question or a 2 marks question will arise as that. So what is the role of DBA? So DBA is responsible for authorization access to the database, coordinating and monitoring its use, and for acquiring the needed software and hardware resources. Then the last category, database designer. Database designers are responsible for identifying the data to be stored in the database, for choosing the appropriate structure to represent and store the data. So these persons we can call it as a database designer. Database designers are responsible for identifying the data to be stored in the databases, for choosing appropriate structures to represent and store the data. So these are all the persons which are, we can call it as the DBMS users. Then we move on to the next slide here, data model. So what is a data model? Data model is an abstract model that describes how the data is represented and used. Or other words, a data model consisting of a set of a data structure and a conceptual tools that is used to describe this data structure. The structures, it includes the data type, relationship among the data, and the constraints on the data of the databases. So this is also a definition of a data model. In other words, a database model defines the logical design of the data. So this model describes the relationship between the different parts of a data. There are there are three types of a data models. One is a hierarchical model, second one is a network model, third one is the relational model. The first category, the hierarchical model. So normally the hierarchical, which means that it is the tree-like structure. So here, first point, which means that the hierarchical data model, it is oldest type of a data model, which is developed by the IBM company in the year of 1968. So already I told us that this data model organizes the data in the tree-like structure. So then this model, the data is represented by the collection of records and relationships are represented by the link. Here, this link is association between the two records. The top of the tree structure consisting of the single node, that node we can call it as a root node. This root node doesn't have any parent node. That node we can call it as a root node. The topmost node in the tree that we can call it as a root node. The root may have any number of descendant, that all the descendant nodes is called the child node. Each child node can have only one parent node, but the one parent can have any number of the child node. So this diagram which shows that hierarchical data model. So in this hierarchical data model, this is the oldest type of a data model which is developed by the company that is called IBM in the year of the 1968. This type of a data model organizes the data in the tree-like structure. So here is the department. Department is at the root node. So it is represented as the root node. So department, it is at the root node. It consisting of the other child nodes like course, student, professor, etc. The first department node, it consisting of two different types of the columns. So ಇದನ್ನ ನಾವು entity ಅಂತ ಕೂಡ ಕರೀಬಹುದು. The department entity, it consisting of the two different types of attributes. One is a department number, one more it is called department name. This department then furthermore classified into the two child nodes, that is course and also the student. The course is also one entity. It consisting of three different types of attributes: course number, course name, and unit. So this course is including in the department, that is a type of the department entity. The student is also another entity. It contains the three different types of attributes: student ID, student name, and student course. Then the next level, the course then classified into one more, the child node, that is professor. So professor entity can furthermore classified into the two different types of attribute: professor ID and the professor name. So that this is a one diagrammatic representation of the hierarchical data model. In this type of a data model, the data is represented by the collection of record and relationship which are represented by the link. So ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಿ, ಒಂದು ಡಾಟಾಗೂ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಡಾಟಾಗೂ ನಾವು ಫಿಸಿಕಲ್ ಲಿಂಕ್ ಮುಖಾಂತರ ರೆಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡಿದೀವಿ. ಸೊ ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಅ ಲಿಂಕ್? ದ ಲಿಂಕ್ ಈಸ್ ಅಸೋಸಿಯೇಷನ್ ಬಿಟ್ವೀನ್ ದೀಸ್ ಟು ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ಸ್. ದ ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ಸಿಗೂ ಮತ್ತೆ ಕೋರ್ಸ್ ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ಸಿಗೂ ಲಿಂಕ್ ಮಾಡಿದೀವಿ. ಯಾವುದ್ರ ಮುಖಾಂತರ? ಸೊ ಲಿಂಕ್ ವಿಚ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ದಟ್ ಅಸೋಸಿಯೇಷನ್ ಬಿಟ್ವೀನ್ ದ ಟು ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ಸ್, ದಟ್ ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಕಾಲ್ ಇಟ್ ಆಸ್ ಅ ಲಿಂಕ್. So here the topmost node, that is a department, it is a root node. The course, student, and professor, these are all the descendant nodes. That node we can call it as a child nodes. Here each node can have only one parent node and the parent can have any number of the child nodes. So these are all the advantages and disadvantages of the hierarchical data model. Simplicity. The relationship between the various layer is logical and also the simple in this type of data model. The data security. Data security is provided by the DBMS. So that is also advantages of this hierarchical data model. The data integrity. Integrity, which means that the validation of a data in the databases. Here there is always link between the parent and also a child segment under it. So that is data integrity is ensures that an efficiency It is a very efficient because when database contain a large number of a transaction, so it is also very efficient manner. So these are all the advantages, disadvantages. So implementation is complexity. So sometimes largest data ನಾವು ಒಂದ್ರ ಕೆಳಗಡೆ ನಾವು ಇಂಪ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಸೊ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆದಂಗೆಲ್ಲ ಸೊ ನಮಗೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಇಂಪ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಕಷ್ಟ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಈ ತರ ಡಾಟಾ ಮಾಡೆಲ್ ಅನ್ನ. ಎರಡನೇದು ಡಾಟಾಬೇಸ್ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್. ಸೊ ಲಾರ್ಜೆಸ್ಟ್ ಡಾಟಾ ಆದಂಗೆಲ್ಲ ನಿಮಗೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಡಾಟಾ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಅಪ್ಡೇಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜ್ ಮಾಡೋದಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಇನ್ಸರ್ಟ್ ಡಿಲಿಷನ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಆಪರೇಷನ್ಸ್ಗೂ ಕೂಡ ನಿಮಗೆ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ಯಾಟಿಕ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ದೆನ್ ಲ್ಯಾಕ್ ಆಫ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರಲ್ ಇಂಡಿಪೆಂಡೆನ್ಸ್. ಸೊ ಈ ಡಾಟಾ ಮಾಡೆಲ್ ಒಂದರಿಂದ ಒಂದು ರೆಕಾರ್ಡಿಗೂ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ರೆಕಾರ್ಡಿಗೂ ಡಿಪೆಂಡೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವುದೇ ಇಂಡಿಪೆಂಡೆನ್ಸ್ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ಲ್ಯಾಕ್ ಆಫ್ structural independence. Then operation anomalies. Anomalies, that is a problems. So problems occur in the database management system. Some of the operations which are insert, delete, update, select, or anything. So these are all the disadvantages of the DBMS. Thank you. If you like my videos, please do subscribe to my channel and click on the bell icon for the notification of the new videos. Thank you so much.